Hello. 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 Hello.
Monica ma'am, where's my also job? Okay, ma'am, 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 நீங்க control எடுத்துக்கீங்களா?
Hello.
Monica ma'am, where's my also job? Okay, ma'am, 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 நீங்க control எடுத்துக்கீங்களா?
Hello.
Monica ma'am, where's my also job? Okay, ma'am, 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 நீங்க control எடுத்துக்கீங்களா?
Hello.
Monica ma'am, where's my also job? Okay, ma'am, 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 நீங்க control எடுத்துக்கீங்களா?
Hello.
Monica ma'am, ரேஷ்மா வர சொல்லுங்க. மா மா நீங்க கண்ட்ரோல் வச்சுக்கோங்க.
ஹலோ
மோனிகா மா ரேஷ்மா வர சொல்லுங்க. மா மா நீங்க கண்ட்ரோல் வச்சுக்கோங்க.
ஹலோ
ரேஷ்மா வர சொல்லுங்க. மா மா நீங்க கண்ட்ரோல் வச்சுக்கோங்க.
ஹலோ ஹலோ அதுல கேட்கல.
ரேஷ்மா வர சொல்லுங்க. மா மா நீங்க கண்ட்ரோல் வச்சுக்கோங்க.
ஹலோ ஹலோ அதுல கேட்கல.
ரேஷ்மா வர சொல்லுங்க.
அதுல கேட்கல.
ரேஷ்மா வர சொல்லுங்க.
அதுல கேட்கல.
ஓகே சார், வந்துடுச்சு சார். பேஜ் வந்துடுச்சு லைவ் இருக்கு. ரைட் சார், ரைட் சார், போதும் கரெக்டாக. ஓகே இப்போ ஓகே கரெக்டாக சார். இப்போ இது அப்புறம் ஆயிருக்கு. அது ஒன்றும் இல்லை, இதில் நீங்கள் பண்ணிக்கலாம். சொல்கிற சொல்கிறேன், இந்த இதில் இந்த செட்டப்பில் இது ஓடும். இதோட லிங்க்கு அங்கே இருக்குது, உங்களுக்கு அந்த டிவியில் லிங்க் இருக்கிறது அதில் ஓடும்.
லேப்டாப் ஆஃப் பண்ணக்கூடாதுமா. அதெல்லாம் மெயினாக போயிட்டு இருக்கு. லேப்டாப் அப்படியே இருக்கட்டும். லேப்டாப் அதில் கனெக்ஷன் பண்ணிட்டு டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு அதில் லைவ் ஓப்பன் பண்ணி பார்த்துக்கலாம்.
இப்போ உங்களுக்கு அவங்க லைவ் ஓடி தான் வரும், செக் பண்ணி தரணும். அந்த யூடியூப் லைவ் இருக்கு, நான் காமிச்சு. ஆமாம், இந்த 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 பேஜ் உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சவங்க பார்க்கலாம். ஆமாம், இப்போ இதை இப்போ கனெக்ட் பண்ணி டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணுறேன்னா இதில் நீங்கள் அதில் வந்து பேஜ் வந்துட்டு இதில் அப்படி போட்டு தரணும். ரெக்கார்டிங் நம்ம கொடுத்தா ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகும். ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் ரைட் சார். இப்போ அவர் வந்தோன்னா அவர் பேசும்போது இதாகும்.
இப்போ யாராவது ஒருத்தர் வாங்க.
இல்லை, இந்த பேஜுக்கு டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணிடுங்க.
நான் பேசணுமா?
இதில் மைக்கில் வராது மேடம். இதில் கரெக்டாக இருக்கும். அதில் இந்த லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சிடலாம். லிங்க் ஓப்பன் ஆகிடும்.
சரி, ஓகே. அதில் லிங்க் டேரெக்டாக ஓப்பன் பண்ணி செக் பண்ணி
பண்ணிடலாம்.
பார்த்துக்கலாம். யூடியூப் லிங்க் நான் எல்லாருக்கும் ஷேர் பண்ணிடுங்கம்மா குரூப்பில். யூடியூப் லிங்க் அண்ட் கூகுள் மீட் லிங்க் ரெண்டுமே வந்து ஷேர் பண்ணிடுங்க. 10:25 ஷேர் பண்ணிடுவாங்க.
டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணி மேடம், ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை.
இதெல்லாம் செட் பண்ணிட்டீங்க. இது ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகும்.
கௌசல்யா சொல்லிட்டு அங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதை ஓப்பன் பண்ணிட்டு
சரி நீங்களே பண்ணுங்க. இது டிஸ்கவுண்ட்
இது வச்சு நம்ம என்ன நிமிஷம்
நல்லா இருக்கு.
இது அப்படியே லைவ் போயிட்டு தான் இருக்கு.
இப்போ உங்கள் சிஸ்டம் கிட்ட எப்படி பேசுவாங்க பசங்க? அதில் பசங்களை யாராவது பேச சொன்னீங்கன்னா புரியலையா சொல்றது? பேசுறது உங்களுக்கு அதில் இருக்குல்லம்மா, அதில் ஓப்பன் பண்ணுங்க. அதை அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு அதில் பேச வைங்கப்பா. மத்தியம் பண்ணுங்க. கிருத்திகா, அவங்களுக்கு வந்து கன்ஃபியூஸாக இருக்காங்க. நீங்கள் அந்த சிஸ்டம்
கத்திகா மேம் என்ன சொல்கிறாங்க, இதை அன்மியூட் பண்ணிவிட்டு இப்போ பசங்களை பேச சொல்லணும்னு சொல்கிறாங்க.
வீட்டில் எல்லாம் பேசுங்கம்மா. கேட்குதான்னு நான் செக் பண்ணுறேன்.
மேம்
நீங்கள் பேசுறது கேட்குமா?
எங்கே நீங்கள் எந்த
மேம் இப்போ ஆடிட்டில் இருந்துச்சு.
நானா என்னோடது
ஸ்பீக்கருமே ஒர்க் ஆகுது.
கனிமொழி மேம் நீங்கள் லாகின்
இப்போ ஒர்க்
நான் லாகின்
லாகின் பண்ணுங்க.
மேம்
அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டேன். எதுலேருந்து கேட்குது இப்போ? டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணுறதுல கேட்குது. லேப்டாப் எதுவும் கிளிக் பண்ணும்போது பின்னாடி சவுண்ட் கேட்டுச்சு.
பேசுங்க, இப்போ பேசுங்க. இங்கே வேணும்.
நீ ஆன் பண்ணுமா? ஆன் ஆகும். மேம்
மேம்
அன்மியூட்
அப்போ அது
பண்ணதா?
ஆடிபிள் பண்ணலையா நீங்கள்?
இல்லை மேம். கனிமொழி மேம் கிட்ட வேணும்.
மேம்
இதில் வராது. இருங்க இங்கே வாங்க. கூகுள் மீட் வாங்க. இங்கே வாங்க மேம். அங்கே வாங்க. பேசுங்க கண்டிப்பாக.
மேம் am I audible?
சிஸ்டமில் மேம் இப்போ சரியாக போச்சு.
அவங்க இன்னும் லாகினே பண்ணல. நீ இதில் உன்னுடைய இதில் அன்மியூட் பண்ணலாம். உன்னுடைய லிங்க் ஓப்பன் ஆயிருக்குல்ல, ஸ்ரீ அபிராமி எஜுகேஷனுக்கு.
எஸ் மேம்.
அதை அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க. அன்மியூட்டில் தான்
இருங்க. மியூட்டில் இருக்குதுங்க.
மியூட்டில் இருக்கு. அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க.
இன்னும் அது ஓப்பன் பண்ண முடியுங்களா?
மேம் நவ் இட் இஸ்
ஹலோ மேம், கரெக்டாக கேட்குதுங்களா மேம்?
Ma'am, am I audible? Am I audible? மேம் ஆடிபிளாக இருக்குங்களா?
இப்போ அபிராமி நேம்
ஆடிபிளா
போட்டு
இருக்கு.
அவங்க இண்டிவிஜுவல்
பண்ணி எங்கள் ஸ்பீக்கரில் கனெக்ட் ஆகுது.
ஸ்கேன் பண்ணி
கனிமொழி கம்போஸ் வெளில வந்துருங்க.
வரேன்.
மெயிலில் அனுப்பி மெயிலில் இருந்து கூட
எனக்கு
லிங்க் ஓப்பன் பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
என்னோட மெயில்.
சரி, நான் ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் போட்டோம். இப்போ நீங்கள் யூடியூப் லைவ் பண்ணுங்க. வெளியில் வந்து யூடியூப் லைவ் பண்ணுங்க. ஒன்றுத்துல தான் ரெண்டு பேர்
ஹலோ. ஹலோ. கிருத்திகா மேம் ஆடிபிளா இருக்கா? ஹலோ. கிருத்திகா மேம் பேசுங்க. ஹலோ. எனக்கு வரலையே வாய்ஸ். அவங்க பேசுறது எனக்கு கேட்க மாட்டேங்குது. எழுதி வைக்க கூடாது சென்டர்ல. ஆடிபிளா இருக்கா? ஹலோ. கிருத்திகா மேம் பேசுங்க. எனக்கு வரலையே வாய்ஸ். அவங்க பேசுறது எனக்கு கேட்க மாட்டேங்குது. எழுதி வைக்க கூடாது சென்டர்ல. ஹலோ. ஹலோ.
பிரச்சனையே இல்லையே.
இல்லை கனிமா கனிமா
நீங்கள் அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு பேசுங்க.
இருங்க.
இல்லை அன்மியூட் இருக்கா அதில் இப்போ நீங்கள் பேசுங்க.
ஹலோ
நான் மியூட்டில் தான் இருக்கேன்.
ஹலோ ஹலோ இங்கே ஆஃப் பண்ணுறது இல்லை சார், இதில் ஆஃப் பண்ணணும்.
மைக்கை டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணுங்க அதில்.
முன்னாடி
இதுதானே சார்?
ஆமாம் ஸ்பீக்கர்.
பேசுங்க. இப்போ பேசுங்க.
ஹலோ மேம். ஹலோ மேம். மேம் கேட்குதுங்களா? மேம் பேசுறது கேட்கலைங்களே.
நீங்கள் ரெண்டு பேரும் ஞாபகம் வரவே இல்லை.
மேம் இது வரலையா? ஸ்க்ரீனில் கூட காட்டலையே மேமோடது.
அப்போ லிங்க் மாற்றி போட்டுருக்கீங்க. லிங்க் அது கிடையாது. நான் கடைசியாக அனுப்பின லிங்க் அனுப்புமா?
வெளியில் வாங்க. லாஸ்ட் டைம் அனுப்புனாங்கல்ல மேம்.
மேலே மேலே இதோ செகண்ட் ஒன்.
அதுதான்.
நான் இருமா அனுப்பா பார்க்குறேன்.
எஸ் மேம். பிகேஎஸ் எக்ஸ் மேம்.
இதில் கூட மேம் காட்டுது.
ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணீங்களா குரூப்பில்? நான் ஆட் பண்ணாதானே எந்த அதில் வரும். இதில் எந்த இருக்கா?
நோ மேம், இதுலேயும் காட்டலைங்க மேம். மேம் அனுப்பின லிங்க் தான். மேம் அனுப்பிவிட்டு மேமோட லிங்க் தான். பாருங்க.
மேம் அனேபிள் டு ஜாயின்
யாருக்கு?
குரூப்பில் வந்துட்டு இருக்கு. அனேபிள் டு ஜாயின் இங்கே பாருங்கள் இங்கே பாருங்கள். அதில் எதுவுமே பண்ணாதீங்க. இதில் பீப்புள்னு இருக்கும்ல, எத்தனை பார்ட்டிசிபேட்ஸ் இருக்காங்கன்னு பார்த்துக்கோங்க.
இங்கே வா அபிராமிக்கு வாங்க.
இது வந்து
அபிராமின்னு வர்றது தான் என்னோடதா. சரி இப்போ மேம் காட்டலைங்களே சார், வருங்களா? நீங்கள் ஸ்க்ரீனில் வந்து
Ma, I'm making everyone get it safe. I'm making everyone get it.
மியூட் பண்ணிவிடுங்க. மியூட் பண்ணிவிடுங்க. வந்துட்டாங்க. வராங்க வராங்க வராங்க. மேம் பர்மிஷன் கொடுத்தா தான் அது உள்ளே வரணும்.
ரெக்வெஸ்ட் கொடுத்துட்ருக்காங்க. இல்லை ஸ்க்ரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணுறது பார்ட்டிசிபெண்ட் லிஸ்ட் வரணுமா? இதுவா
இதில் தான் இருக்கும்.
இல்லை இதில் கிளிக் பண்ணுங்கம்மா, இதில் கிளிக் பண்ணுங்க.
இங்கே தான்
இருக்கு பாருங்க. இத்தனை 18 இருக்காங்களே.
18 மெம்பர்ஸ் வந்திருக்காங்கம்மா. க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன். 21 தானே? இருங்க.
ஆஃப் பண்ணுங்க, ஆஃப்
ஸ்டார்ட் ஆனோடனே ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் கொடுத்துடணுமா?
ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் இப்போ மேடம் பேசி இப்போதைக்கு நீங்கள் பேசிட்டு எல்லாம் போயிட்டே தான் இருக்குது.
இப்போது
ஆமாம்,
ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகிட்டு இருக்கா?
பாருங்கள் ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டே இருக்காங்களா, இதே எல்லாமே ரெக்கார்டிங் எல்லாம் போட்டு தான் இருக்குது. ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் வந்து அது ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகிடும்.
இப்போ செஷன் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகிறதுக்கு ஒரு 5 minutes முன்னாடி ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் கொடுத்துடலாம் சார். எங்கே சார் சேவ் ஆகும் இது? என்னோட சிஸ்டம்
உங்களுக்கு சேவ் ஆகும். இந்த ஓபிஎஸ் எடுத்து லேஸ் ஃபைலில் போய் சேவ் ஆகும். அதில் நீங்கள் கிளிக் பண்ணி எடுத்துக்கலாம்.
30 members join ஆகிருக்கும்.
Hello.
கேட்குது. அதெல்லாம் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்
Yes, ma'am, I can get your voice, ma'am.
ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் கொடுத்துருங்க சார். டைம் ஆயிடுச்சு. கொடுத்துருங்க, ஸ்டார்ட் ரெக்கார்டிங் கொடுத்துருங்க.
இதில் உள்ளது ரெக்கார்டிங்
இது அப்படியே கொஞ்ச
அது
நேரம்
அப்படியே போயிட்டே இருக்கும்.
முடிஞ்ச உடனே நம்ம ஸ்டாப் ஸ்ட்ரீமிங் கொடுத்துடலாம். இல்லை எண்ட் ப்ராட்காஸ்ட் கொடுத்துருவோம்.
ஸ்டாப் ரெக்கார்டிங் கொடுத்துருவோம்.
நம்மளுக்கு ரெக்கார்டு தாங்க சார் முக்கியம். நம்ம இதை ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ண போகிறோம். நம்ம லிங்க் அனுப்பின பசங்க அதை இதில் பார்த்துட்டு போகிறாங்க. இது கரண்ட்டில் பண்ணும்போது இது பிரச்சனை கிடையாது. நம்ம பசங்க பார்க்கறது தான் இது. சரிங்களா?
இதில் லிங்க் போட்டு தானே அங்கே போகாது. போனால் உடனே இது பண்ண சொல்லுங்கள்.
11 to 12:30 அந்த 1 hour தாங்க சார். 1 hour. அதுக்கப்புறம் 12:30 to 1:30 பேப்பர் ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் சார். அப்புறம் 2 to 3:30 ஒரு செஷன் வந்து சார் வருவாங்க. நம்ம ஓபிஎஸ்ஸே ஷேர் பண்ணி
இந்த இதில் லிங்க் பண்ணி கொடுத்தாங்கனாலே போதுமானது. இது ஒருத்தராக பண்ணிங்கன்னா ஓகே. எல்லாரும் இங்கே வந்து பேசியிருந்தீங்கன்னா இதுவும் பண்ணினாலும் பிரச்சனை.
நம்ம இதில் எதுவும் ஆன் பண்ண போகிறதில்ல. அதில் கனெக்ட் ஆகிட்டாங்கன்னா அவங்க பாட்டு பேச
இதில் இப்போ இது நீங்கள் அதை கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு ஸ்பீக்கர் கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டா வெளியே பிரச்சனை எல்லாமே
ஆனால் நம்ம தான் அது வேறு இது வேறு வச்சுருக்கோம். சார் ஆயிடுச்சுங்க சார். கொஞ்சம் சவுண்ட் எக்ஸ்ட்ராவாக கேட்குது. அதெல்லாம்
நான் எங்கே சார் இங்கே வாங்க சார். நீங்கள் எங்கே இருக்கு சார்? நீங்கள் இங்கே இருக்கு சரி சார். இங்கே தான் நல்லா பார்த்துக்கலாம்.
ஓபிஎஸ்ஸே கனெக்ட் பண்ணல பிரச்சனை இருக்காது.
நீங்கள் இதில் 100க்கு மேலே வருவேன் தான் போயிட்டே இருக்கு.
இல்லை சார், அந்த ஸ்க்ரீனும் இந்த ஸ்க்ரீனும் ஒன்றா கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டோம்னா நெட்வொர்க் இஷ்யூ இல்லைன்றதுக்காக தான் நம்ம டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம். ஆமாங்க சார்.
ஆமாம், இல்லை கரண்ட் இஷ்யூ இதாகிறதுனால நான் இது பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இந்த ஸ்பீக்கர் கனெக்ஷன் சரியாக வரல, ஸ்பீக்கரில் செல்லாம் கரெக்டு. இதில் வந்து உங்கள்
இப்போ
சிஸ்டம்
ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகின்னு இருக்குதுங்களா? சரி.
இதே நான் அதில் வந்துச்சுன்னா உங்களுக்கு தேவை இருக்கிற நிறைய அங்கே போட்டு மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டு
என்னென்னா நேற்று கரெக்டாக ஒர்க் ஆகும்.
மேடம் நீங்கள் லிங்க் போட்டு மெசேஜ் பண்ண அப்படின்னா அதை மட்டும் கேட்கலாம்.
சரி.
அவங்க வச்சுட்டு ஸ்பீக்கர் நம்ம இது பண்ணலாம். இங்கே ஸ்பீக்கரில் மட்டும் தான் பண்ணுறோம். அந்த ஸ்பீக்கர்லாம் பண்ணுறோம். அது இந்த ஸ்பீக்கர்லாம் வரும். மேடம் வந்து பிரச்சனை இருக்காது. அதான் இதுனா ஒரு
அதாங்க சார். சார் நம்ம இந்த டெஸ்க்டாப் ஆடியோ ஆஃபில் தானே வச்சுக்கணும். இது ஆஃபில் இருக்குங்களா? ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கிற மாதிரி தெரியுதுங்க. கொடுங்க. சரி வச்சுங்க.
டெஸ்க்டாப் ஆஃப் வச்சுனால அவங்க
Chrome-ல
கிளியராக ஸ்டேட்.
சரி வச்சுங்க.
இது வந்து யூடியூப் லைவில் பார்க்குற மாதிரி இருக்குது. இது யூடியூப் லைவில் பார்க்கணும் கரெக்டாக கேட்கும். இதில் நம்ம ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. வீட்டில் ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. வீட்டில் அது பார்த்து போவோம். இதில் ஒரு மேடம் பேசுவோம். ஓகே. இப்போ ஒரு இவர் இப்போ வருவார். இதில் வருவாருங்களா?
ஒரு மேம் வருவாங்க சார். ஃபஸ்ட்டு வந்து மேம் வருவாங்க கேரளாலேருந்து. ஆஃப்டர்நூன் வந்து சார் வருவாங்க சார்.
ஸோ அவரும் இப்போ காலைல ஃபஸ்ட் செஷன்ஸ் அவர் தான் சொன்ன மாதிரி இருக்குது.
இல்லைங்க, பாண்டியா மேம் ஒருத்தர் கேரளாலேருந்து.
ஓகே, இவருக்கு அங்கே ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லையாம்மா? துபாயில் இப்போ பேசிங்களா வந்துருமா பையனை ஃபஸ்ட் டைம் யார் ஃபஸ்ட் டைம் ஓவியஸ் வீடியோ
கொஞ்சம் கற்றுக்கணும்.
நம்ம இது
சார் நீங்கள் அந்த யூடியூப் லிங்கில் பாருங்கள், ஓப்பன் பண்ணி உங்களுக்கு அனுப்புங்களா?
நான் பார்த்தேன்.
சார்
Good morning to everyone present here. A warm smile is the universal language of kindness, and today we begin this webinar with the spirit of warmth and learning. It is truly an immense pleasure to have such a wonderful gathering in this virtual space, and a great privilege to welcome you all to this one-day international webinar on subaltern narratives, exploration of marginalized voices. On behalf of Sree Abiraami College, I extend a heartfelt welcome to our respected chief guest, esteemed keynote speaker, distinguished faculty members, presenters, participants, and dear students who have joined us today. Your presence truly enriches this academic gathering and makes this webinar a meaningful platform for sharing knowledge, ideas, and perspectives. Today's session promises to be intellectually stimulating as we explore voices and narratives that are often unheard. We are deeply honored to have such an eminent scholars, enthusiastic participants. Your valuable presence and contributions will surely make this webinar informative, inspiring, and memorable. A smile is the universal welcome. To commence this academic event, I now invite Ms. R. Dhanalakshmi from 2nd BA English to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning to everyone present here. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to welcome you all to this wonderful webinar. On behalf of the organizing committee, I warmly welcome our chief guest, resource person, faculty members, and all the participants who have joined us to different places, and hello as to gain valuable insights without geographical barriers. Today's webinar is a great opportunity for all of us to improve our knowledge the session will be highly informative and inspiring for all the participants. The ideas and experiences shared in this webinar will definitely help us broaden our understanding and motivate us to explore more in this field. I hope all the participants will actually listen, learn, and make the best use of this opportunity. Let us make this session interactive and fruitful. Once again, I warmly welcome everyone and wish you all a very productive and enlightening webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhanalakshmi. Difficult to part with and impossible to forget. Thank you, Dhanalakshmi. A truly great principle is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. Now it is time to hear the guiding words that inspire and lead for the presidential address. I respectfully invite our principal, Dr. M.C. Subhashini Ma'am, to share her vision and wisdom with us.
Good morning to one and all present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to address this one-day international webinar on subaltern narratives, exploration of marginalized identities. As we know that literature is a mirror of life, and the seminar title is also the same, which focuses on the realm of societies. This seminar will be a remarkable one, which tends to transcend the young minds to think and act for the subalterns. Subaltern narratives voice the stories of marginalized groups, often silenced or overlooked in mainstream discourse. These accounts challenge dominant power structure, race, and sexuality, highlighting the complex power dynamics. Subaltern narratives disrupt dominant discourses, fostering empathy and understanding. They provide a platform for marginalized voices, promoting social justice and equality. By this, I end my address and I extend my warm greetings to the staff members of the English department, students, and the participants from various colleges. Have a knowledgeable webinar. Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable overview. Every great speaker deserves a graceful introduction. To introduce our distinguished chief guest, I invite Ms. P. Sree Reshma from 3rd BA English to deliver the introduction of the chief guest.
Good morning, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Panthea Gunitz-Lig. Panthea Gunitz-Lig is an assistant professor of communication at Leeds College of Management. Her background includes a Master of Business Administration from Edinburgh Napier University, demonstrating applied knowledge of business strategy and organizational leadership. She also holds a Diploma of Education from London School of Business and Social Services. At Leeds College of Management, she serves as an assistant professor, delivering lectures and developing curriculum. Her work history includes serving as a country representative at Global Education, liaising with international partners and managing regional operations. Prior to this, she has obtained an associate degree from the University of West London and an ALCM TED degree from both the University of West London and Lyceum International School, Nugigoda. Her education also includes postgraduate studies at Edinburgh Napier University. She has also obtained a Diploma of Education from London School of Business and Social Science. At present, she is working as an assistant professor, educational consultant, international student affairs coordinator at Christ College, Autonomous, Kerala. Thank you.
Thank you, Reshma. A special day becomes extraordinary when graced by a special guest. The moment we have all been eagerly waiting for has arrived. It is now time for the keynote address where knowledge meets inspiration and ideas spark transformation. I humbly invite our esteemed chief guest, Professor Panthea Gunitz-Lig, ma'am, to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, ma'am.
டெஸ்க்டாப்பில் சேவ் பண்ணிக்கலாம் சார் அப்படியே மெயிலேருந்தே ஓப்பன் பண்ணுங்கள் செஷன் முடிஞ்சவொடனே ஓப்பன் பண்ணலாம் எல்லாம் சொல்லித்தரோம் காலை மேலே வச்சுட்டு கையை படுத்துறது பேசிக் ஃபாலோ ஃபோட்டோஸ்
The session will be started in few minutes. I request Panthea ma'am to start the session, ma'am. Kindly start the session.
Okay, I think I'm audible to everyone, right? Very good morning to everyone.
Good morning,
Hello?
ma'am.
Yes, good morning. I'm really sorry about the mishap. There was a problem with the connection. So I would like to first of all thank for this opportunity, and I'm really grateful for this platform on which we are working on emotional intelligence, which is the number one soft skills, not only for educators but for every person in the world today. So whether you're a student or whether you're an educator or you're a citizen, emotional intelligence plays a major role in life. And I'm grateful for the administration, for your college, for giving me this platform on which I can share the little knowledge that I know and also share skills with all of you. So, moving on to my presentation, which is the paradigm shift. So, paradigm shift is Kritika ma'am, if you can, I'm finding it a little difficult to share my screen. If you can just put my presentation on screen, I will be able to. So paradigm shift is about the most sought after top skill. So we call it power skills in this generation, and we are looking at an era where we need to be in the workforce, where we need to survive, and we are also finding a way to come to top in every profession that we do. So this is a kind request. I won't take a lot of your time, and I will not make it boring. I'll try to make it very simple, very engaging as much as possible. If I could just have my PPT on screen. I'm really sorry for the technical errors that I'm facing right now from Trishur. Kritika ma'am, if I can have my PowerPoint. I just hope you bear with me till my presentation comes on screen. Okay, right. Okay, so when we is the screen visible to everyone? The screen.
Yeah, it is visible to everyone, ma'am.
Okay, all right, okay. So when we talk about power skills, it is actually the skill that we need more than our hard skills. They say hard skills, which is the cognitive knowledge that we receive, is very, very important. But at the same time, soft skills are even more important. And that is something that all of us should know. And just to understand what emotional intelligence actually, emotional intelligence is, in very simple words, it's the ability to understand your emotions. It's the understanding of our own emotions that we can learn to manage them and that we are able to handle the emotions of others. You know, when we take the workforce, it is always very, very controversial because hello, yes, okay, so actually, when we are looking at, is it still artificial, right? Is it still artificial? It's something that we are looking at this AI era. And when we take the AI era, every single person is totally equipped. And sometimes when we are not very understanding of AI tools, AI apps, then sometimes it can become like a threat. But when we talk about paradigm shift, when we talk about is it still artificial? Are we going to use emotional intelligence? The answer is we can use AI, but the human touch can never be replaced. That is something that I want to emphasize on. No matter how advanced technology is, it can be in the classroom teaching, it can be in the corporate sector, it can be in an MNC, anywhere in the world, the underlying factor is human connection cannot be matched with AI. So, what do? We connect AI with human emotions and connections. Moving on to the next slide, please. Power skills. Now, this is what I'm really talking about, right? So, when we talk about power skills, why do we need power skills? At the beginning, I told you that when we talk about employability, we talk about the job market, whether you're a doctor or a teacher or an engineer or whoever you are, entrepreneur, 60% of our knowledge comes from learning, but the power skills 40% is very much needed today, and those are soft skills, right? So, what do you understand by power skills? There are three small statements here. The first one is it is better street smart. So, would you like to be better street smart? Street smart is not only knowing your work, not only knowing your subject, but you're able to handle anything around you. The second one is how much better could you be if you knew how to regulate your emotions and understand the feelings of others? You know, sometimes it's very easy, especially to sympathize with people and say, I know how you feel, I know it's difficult for you. But actually, do we really feel that, right? What is the most important thing is understanding the feelings of others. And when we understand the feelings of others, we are able to understand their situation. It doesn't mean that every time somebody has a problem or somebody has an issue, we have to agree, but to understand them, respect them, and to work towards helping them is power skill. And the last one here is would better relationships, stronger friendships, and success at work be yours? Yes, when you have power skill, when you can not only have good time management, critical thinking, and also adaptability, teamwork, collaboration, which we are all very, very familiar with. But there is one thing that we need, that is emotional intelligence. So let's get to emotional intelligence and see what it's all about. And I hope all of you are following with me. I'm sorry, on an online platform, the interaction is very less, not like in person. But let's move on to the next slide. So, emotional intelligence, according to the World Economic Forum 2020, it's the most sought after and high rated leadership skill in 2025. Right? So, emotional intelligence is linking of your, you can see a very simple diagram, the brain and the heart. So, basically, if you talk about your heart and the brain, physiologically, it says it's 18 inches apart. 18 inches apart is brain to heart. So, next slide, please. Why should we invest in emotional intelligence, right? So, whether we are teaching students or we are upgrading ourselves or we are learning something new in life, it could be professional, it could be personal. Why do we need to invest in emotional intelligence? Because emotional intelligence is something that is very different. Emotion intelligence is, as you can see in this simple diagram, the brain and the heart is balancing. But we know very well in life, especially our heart comes first. Most of the time, we don't use our brain first, right? Especially in the younger days, maybe in our 20s, 30s, we tend to put our heart first and our brain second, right? And I would say, even now, even later on in life, there are people, even I would say I'm a very emotionally connected person where I would put my heart first, but emotional intelligence is understanding, yes, you need to use your heart, but you got to connect it with your brain. So, in anything in life, as an educator, I believe, as a counselor, I believe, when you learn something, you should know why you're investing your time, investing your money, and how you can benefit. Moving on to the next slide. So, developing emotional intelligence is essential for your leaders and teams. So, your leaders and teams. Let me simply explain. When we work, we don't work alone unless we sit for an examination or we take time for ourselves. They say man is not an island. Man is surrounded by others. We are every day interacting. Take him from our personal life. It could be family, it could be siblings, it could be in-laws, it could be friends, colleagues, anyone. And moving on to the professional platform where we have our management, we have our colleagues, could be co-workers, students, anyone. We are always interacting with people. And one thing I want you to believe is, especially if you think that emotional intelligence is for every single person, you have to believe you are a leader in your own space. Whether you're at home, whether you're working, whether you're talking to your friends, always lead by example. And moving on to the next slide, I will explain further. Next slide, please. So, this is the definition, universally, a very simple definition of emotional intelligence, which I will break down very quickly because it's something that's important as well as something that you should understand in a very simple manner. So, emotional intelligence is the ability, it's also called the emotional quotient, EQ, and it's the ability to understand. If you can make down some notes, you can take down these notes. So the first thing in emotional intelligence, when we define it, is it's the ability to understand. You can make a note of that. First is ability to understand. The second point is ability to use. First is the ability to understand your emotions. Second one, the ability to use your emotions. Okay, so moving on to the third one, it is the way to manage your own emotions, the way to manage your own emotions in positive ways. So that's the third point, managing your own emotions in positive ways. The fourth one is use emotions to relieve stress. Use emotions to relieve stress. Number 5, use emotions to communicate effectively. Use emotions to communicate effectively. The sixth one, use emotions to empathize with others. Empathize with others, not sympathize. Empathize with others. The next one, overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. That's the seventh one, which is we are using emotional intelligence to overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. So if you take this very simple word as emotional intelligence, and we are going to give a meaning to that, it is simply understand our emotions, use our emotions, manage our emotions in positive ways. And when we use it in a positive way, we can relieve stress, we can communicate better, we can empathize with others and overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. Here, the key point is When you and I can understand why we feel this way, why are we feeling negative, why are the emotions that we are feeling, right? And what makes us angry, happy, sad? I want to bring to your knowledge, maybe you know this, it's something all of you might know, maybe it's something new. The six universal emotions. If we look at the six universal emotions, we have happiness. You can write this down. Happiness, sadness, disgust, fear, anger, and surprise. Once again, happiness, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, and surprise. Disgusted. You're disgusted with something, right? So those are the six universal emotions. Whether you go to Africa or you come down to India or travel back to America or wherever you are on this planet, six universal emotions we are all working with, right? So this is very important. If you and I, we are human beings, and the human nature, we always want to blame the other person. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's human nature. When something goes wrong, we don't want to first understand why are we reacting this way? What is causing us to react this way? Right? So if we can understand why are we happy, why are we sad, why are we disgusted, why are we fearful, why are we angry, then we will be able to understand people's emotions. Then we will understand everyone else is human, everyone else is understanding, and they are also going through a lot of things. Say if you take a classroom of students, if you have, for example, 30 students, they come from 30 different backgrounds, they come from 30 different emotional intelligence, they come from a different emotional level, they come from different financial background, socio-economic status. We don't know what is going on in their houses, whether they're happy, whether their parents are not well to do, or whether there's a sickness, whether they're fighting. There are so many things that is pressurizing the world today, and AI has not made it easier. So here, if we as educators for the future can understand that, yes, empathy, this is something we get confused with. Empathize with others. Empathize is simply, just remember this. My shoe size is size 7. A very simple example. Everyone can remember their shoe size, right? So if my shoe size is number 7, and say your shoe size is number 5. Okay. So if you are going to fit into my shoe size, which is 7, and yours is 5, it's going to be loose. It's not going to be very comfortable for you to walk and use. And if I am going to use your shoes, I'm number 7 and I'm going to use number 5. So that is going to be very tight for me. Now that is empathy. Empathy is you have to understand the other person in their shoes, in their point of view, in their perspective. Whether you think they're right or wrong, whether you think they're crazy, whether you think it doesn't make sense, that is empathy. But it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything every other person says. You have the right as a human being, you have the liberty to understand and respect. But if we can correct people, we can lead people, we can guide people. And that is the essence of emotional intelligence. So, in a nutshell, I would say when you want to remember empathy, remember your shoe size. If you're going to get into a tighter pair of shoes, or you're going to give your shoes to someone else. So, I hope I'm not going too fast. I hope everyone is with me. If I can see some reactions from the crowd, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so thank you. So emotional intelligence is Why is it 2025 most sought after power skill? It's the battlefield at the workplace. So, whether you're in your house, whether you're in the comfort of a vacation, whether you're in your multinational company and you're very happy with your profit, you're happy with your sales, you're happy with your employees, or whether you're in a school staff room, you're thinking why your students are not getting good grades, it does not matter. Emotional intelligence is one thing. If you learn to handle these five components, wherever you go, you will find life. Your opinions and your ideas, they should also respect you. Respect doesn't mean that you need to have this, get angry. It's all a part of being human. So empathy is you understand me in my point of view, but you don't have to agree. Finishing with the fourth point is everything clear. Anyone wants to ask any questions or any doubts that you have? Any doubts from anyone? Or am I good to go to the next slide? Shall we proceed to the next slide? Okay, right, thank you. So motivation, before we go to the next slide, motivation is the last one. Motivation is the fifth component of emotional intelligence. And motivation, I will tell you, there are two ways. You can have intrinsic, eccentric. Intrinsic is within yourself. And I think if you are able to motivate yourself within yourself, that is a motivation that will not be taken away from you. But if you're expecting other people to motivate you and always be there to cheer you up when you feel low, that is a place where you and I can become very human and we can fail. But still, talking all these things after 23 years of training, I will still say I would like someone to motivate me because that is part of human life. But what I want to do is energy of this young generation, because we can't throw away this generation. Maybe our children are also part of this generation, right? So how do we cater to them? The high demand power skill of emotional intelligence. If you take these 5 points that I have on the slide, globalized, interconnected economy. If you want to go global, if you want to go out of your comfort zone, there are things we should study about Gen Z and link it with emotional intelligence. How can we help them to go forward, to regulate their emotions, to really sit and talk to them, because they are very much aware of what they want, not like our generation. But they have a way to talk, they have a way to say it, which has to be handled very nicely. Second one is an emphasis on soft skills. Yes, you need your power skills, you need soft skills, not only learning, not only the paycheck, not only getting a good salary, a good decision, leadership styles. Leadership styles are very important, where a leader would connect, a leader would understand and be approachable to the people in the workplace. The fourth is automation and AI. So AI, yes, it is like a knife. We can use the knife to cut, we can chop vegetables, we can cook with it. Same time, we can use that same knife to kill someone. So it is how you use it, and AI is to be learned, to be understand our learning, to make us more efficient, fast moving, and we can feel. And the last thing is, why do we need this emotional intelligence? Improve employee retention. This is the biggest problem. Our Gen Z as well as some of our millennials are leaving the workforce. They start, they stop. So this is something that's difficult for us. In-laws can be your biggest customers because they are the ones you've got to please the more we say. So you are good at, and what? Even a simple skill. Maybe you can sing, you can dance, you can cook, you can do handwork, you can write. Whatever you're good at, make it a competitive advantage for you. So those things will create high profile and build up your emotional intelligence where you can be a better person in the workforce to retain others. So moving on to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. This is called, I hope all of you are not too tired. I'm really sorry because when we go online, it's not like offline. I can't like see all of your faces, your expressions, if you're tired, if you're sleeping. I hope you're not sleeping or hungry. I know it's close to lunchtime. So 360 degrees. I always believe life is not the past. Past has only taught us lessons. Don't keep things from the past for your today and tomorrow. And life is not only today and tomorrow. We have to understand there's a left side, there's a right side. So life is basically 360 degrees. And if you understand 360 degrees, yes, you can work better. So first, understand your superpowers. What is your superpower? It doesn't mean that, you have to get 100 out of 100 for your exams. It doesn't mean that you have to top your organization and be the best employee. Superpower is what you're good at and what you're good at handling. It could be a sense of humor, it could be understanding, it could be patience, it could be productivity. Then self awareness. Self awareness is, are you able to understand and impact people around you? It's not easy to handle people. And all resources we have is not AI or it's not machinery, it is human beings. And anyone working in the HRM department will know human beings are the most difficult to work with, more than any machine or any output or any kind of application. Right? So the next is the blind spot. Blind spot is we don't sometimes see where we are lacking. So for blind spot, you can write this down. Do a SWOT analysis of yourself. SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, I don't know if you're familiar with business terms, but SWOT analysis is for everyone. SWOT, SWOT. SWOT. S is strength, W is weakness, O is opportunities, T is threat. So you write down sincerely what do you feel are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, and then you will be able to grow and you can convert a lot of things to positive things. And always, just like I'm doing this presentation, if I talk at a rate without pausing, it will be of no use. You will not connect. So the fourth point is stop, pause, restart. This is something we don't do. We go on and on and on with the same thing. Always take a break, pause, think. Where am I heading? What am I doing? And restart. And the last one, intention versus impact. What do I want to do and what am I doing? So intention is yes, I want to do it. Impact is how much am I doing it? All our learnings, all our education, all our skills, all our paychecks, are we really happy end of the day? Is the question. Or do we want to go further? If you ever feel you want to go further, let nothing stop you. So that is something you can look into. So 360 degrees, please understand life is a vicious circle. It keeps going round and round. But one thing in that circle, don't look back, learn from your past and move forward. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, will be one of the major key points. I will send this particular slide where all of you can work on this. This is the practical part of emotional intelligence. Now we have gone through actually why do we need to invest on emotional intelligence? What is emotional intelligence? What are the 5 components of emotional intelligence and why do we really need it? Now the talk is how do we build up emotional intelligence and why should we? This is a very simple wheel called, it's actually an activity we do, spin the wheel 9 times. And spin the wheel 9 times means every month you spin it once. That's how we train students for this. We train corporates, we train management graduates, and even teacher trainees, right? So here, if you spin I know it's practically not possible every month to spin one. You may not be able to understand sometimes, but take this as an example, take this as a challenge. You start with practicing mindfulness. Say this particular month or 2 weeks you want to try mindfulness. Or you want to celebrate your progress, second point. always remember whatever you do, whether it could be small, it could be something big, always congratulate yourself. Whatever achievement you have in your life, right? And uh, I'm sorry, is the clear screen clear to all of you? Uh, yeah, okay. Hello? Okay. Right. So, uh, can everyone see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So, if we are talking about how we are going to spin this wheel, are we going to do journaling? Are we going to focus on what we are going to do? Just a moment. Hold on, I'm not able to focus with my screen. I'm sorry. Uh, just give me 1 minute. 1 minute, please. Okay, sure. Right. So here, when you take this wheel, right, we have, we spoke about celebrating your progress. So seek feedback. Always remember whether it could be a 5-year-old, it could be a 50-year-old, but get feedback from people where you need to do something extra, where you need to calm down, where you need to adjust your life. Then practice empathy. So every 2 weeks or 1 month, you can try these out. Practice empathy. Try to think of the other person. Why are they feeling this way? Why are they acting this way? So those are things that can help. Then healthy coping mechanisms. It could be listening to music, it could be movies, it could be gardening, it could be singing, dancing, anything. Find healthy coping mechanisms. This is something very interesting that I discovered a few weeks ago through a study, because I am doing my studies on organization behavior and human mind, where 90-second rule. Please remember this, write this down if you can. 90-second rule. When a negative emotion comes to you, when a disturbing thought comes to you, don't keep it in your mind more than 90 seconds. 1.5 minutes, let it out, because by the time you do that, it will not, physiologically, your brain chemicals will not act on it, right? So when you don't give power to your thoughts for the brain chemicals to act on it will not be able to destroy you, or it will not break the peace of your day, right? So please remember that. Then moving on, challenge negative self-talk. I know we always have this habit, we are never good enough. Bottom line is, you may be the president of India, but we are still not good enough for ourselves. Every human being has this, because that is why we are born human. So for once, understand, you are good at many things. It doesn't mean 100% we are good at everything in life. So challenge negative thoughts, because that creates a lot of negative emotions, hormones in your brain, your dopamine, serotonin, cortisol, all these things are very real. And it's very sad to see a lot of young people who just end their life in pain because they can't balance their emotions. Right? So if we are responsible for this, we know how we can handle it. And emotional vocabulary is next. Always try to speak positive words. I'm not saying that, we can be a saint or we are Mother Teresa and we speak all words of love and everything, but try to have emotional vocabulary. Don't degrade yourself. It becomes a habit. And active listening is very important. Do we actually listen to people because we want to listen, or we listen because we have to answer them? And journaling is important. Write down your emotions. Um, Come to a point where you can analyze, why do you feel this way and what makes you feel that way. So moving on to the next slide. I hope spinning the wheel 9 times is making sense to all of you. I will share this with you so you could practice it yourself. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're just recapping, and I'm just coming to sort of a conclusion on what I've been doing. So recap is always important. So first is, so I am here comparing the seed and the fruit. Okay, so if you plant something, you will definitely bear the fruit of it. So, what I started with, it's still artificial. Yes, AI is very real. Second one was power skills are very, very important. Yes. Emotional intelligence, I hope you got a brief understanding. What is emotional intelligence? Why do we need it? Why is it important? And what are the components? And why do we need to train in emotional intelligence? Today is just a foundation of what I spoke, the paradigm shift. But emotional intelligence is a vast subject that will help us to navigate ourselves better. It's like a compass. Then it's essential for leaders and teams. The root of EQ, the five different components we have to look at, and the battlefield in the workplace. I hope all of you can remember that. I hope I did not go too fast. And looking at the fruits, every time you sow a seed, you sow a mango seed, you expect tasty mangoes to come in due season, right? So the fruits that we bear, the heart of the matter. What is the heart of the matter? Regulating our emotions, understanding so we can regulate others better. And that is emotional intelligence. High demand power skill. Yes, if you have emotional intelligence, you can master a lot of things. Seven plus benefits I told you about the workplace, about retaining employees, adaptability in the workplace, understanding other people, and always seeing your work success as the productive force. Then the 360 degrees, I said life is a circle. Take your past as a lesson. Please don't take the garbage, the trash from your past and make your today and tomorrow very miserable. And spin the wheel 9 times. Yes, spinning the wheel 9 times. I will send this particular one. I think Kritika ma'am or Subhashini ma'am will be sharing that with you, where you can take this particular diagram and you can keep it in front of you. Maybe once in 2 weeks or once a month, try something new. Spinning that wheel. Because then you will discover, you will calm down, you will be able to relax, and you'll be able to understand yourself better. So, I'm sorry, I do have a sore throat last 3, 4 days, and I just came from a conference in Alleppey as well. Uh, I'm very sorry that, sometimes maybe my voice is not too clear, but I just hope that you were able to follow. Any questions, anything that you want clarified by me? Yes. And I'm sorry about my connection. We do have this electricity fluctuations, so it's giving a bit of a hitch as well. Though I'm fortunate to have my mobile data. Any questions from anyone? You can feel free to connect with me anytime. You can drop me a message on WhatsApp. I'm currently working as an international student facilitator for Christ College, Irnyalakuda, and I represent Sri Lanka and India for student exchange programs across India, and we are launching a website, All India International Student Forum, where we work on soft skills, life skills, outbound trainings. So you can connect with me. I can give you my WhatsApp contact. Whether you're an educator or you're a student or anyone, I'm always there to lend a helping hand. I am also doing counseling. So my number you can note down and connect. It's 701 211. So with that, I would like to thank the management, and I would like to thank Kritika ma'am and Kaushalya ma'am who have been coordinating with me for this particular program. And I'm sorry for the mishaps in technology. And I really appreciate if you could give me some feedback. And I believe that you have enjoyed this session.
I request the presenters to be ready with the papers. Now the presentation section will go on.
Meanwhile,
ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க சார். நான் மேம் கிட்ட வெளியே போயிட்டு
meanwhile, if participants has any queries regarding this session, you can put forward. Thank you, ma'am, for those enlightening and thought-provoking words that truly inspired our minds and touched our hearts. Technical session 1 ends here. We will start paper presentation now. Every academic discussion becomes meaningful when guided by experienced mind who can inspire and mentor others. As Confucius once said, education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope, hope breeds peace. With this thought, it is my privilege to introduce the chairperson of this paper presentation session, Dr. S. Sasikumar sir. He is widely respected for his contribution to research and academic guidance, and we truly honored to have such an experienced scholar supervising today's paper presentation. Now we move to the paper presentation session where young minds share their research ideas and perspectives. Each presentation adds a new dimension to knowledge and makes this webinar more meaningful and vibrant. We request the presenters to share the screen and continue the presentation. The first presenter is Nethyang Kipgen. We request Nethyang Kipgen to join from Don Bosco.
கொடுத்துடாதீங்க.
Uh, Hello, ma'am.
நிதின் டான் வாஸ்கோ சார்.
Ma'am, I'm not yet ready. Can you wait for around 2 minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will wait for next few minutes. Please come soon.
Okay.
சார் நம்ம இதில் ரெக்கார்டிங் ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடலாங்களா? ஏன்னா அப்போவே கொஞ்சம் விட்டு விட்டு போயிட்டுருக்குல்ல. நம்ம யூடியூப்பில் இது ஃபுல்லாக போனதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த வீடியோ டவுன்லோட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். அவங்க ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. அவங்க இல்லையே ஷர்மிளா, அவங்க கேமரா ஆஃப் பண்ணல. இவங்க டான் வாஸ்கோட இருந்தாங்க.
Kausalya ma'am, we can call another presenter so that we can save the time.
எவ்வளோ வாய்ஸ் கிளியராக இருக்குது.
சார் சார் அவர் தான் அந்த யூனிவர்சிட்டி இருந்தாங்க.
அந்த பையனை எவ்வளோ சொன்னார் அவங்க அதுக்கு ப்ரெசன்ட்
If
சொல்லுவாங்க.
anyone is ready, we can present. Kausalya ma'am.
I request Ms. Nim Chongoy Hokip to present the paper presentation from Don Bosco College. I repeat, Ms. Nim Chongoy Hokip to present the paper presentation.
Screen mo thay wale.
Presenters, be kindly ready with your presentations.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Yeah, it's audible, ma'am. You can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nim Chonghai Haukip, and I'm currently pursuing my third BA English in Don Bosco Yalagiri Hills. Today, I'm going to be presenting my project. The title is Counter Narratives in George Orwell Animal Farm, a feminist reading. And the objective of my research would be to reveal the invisibility of female animals and how it is relevant till today, and to prove that Animal Farm, a political allegory, can be undertaken as a feminist approach, and to study the utilization of power by leaders or male-dominated leaders. And to summarize the novel or novella by George Orwell, it is a story about animals where there is a farm which is owned by a man, Mr. Jones, and the animals in the farm, they did a rebellion against this owner. And
The animals in the farm have thought that after rebelling against this, the owner of this farm, because he have not taken the farm in a proper way. So when they did a rebellion against him, and when they achieved this rebellion and revolution, they thought that the animals would achieve freedom. But in contrast, they were under this superior pigs, namely Napoleon under him. Under him, they were oppressed, and there are few characters, and many characters were under him. And we can find out that female characters have no voices in this, and I'm going to reveal how the female characters serve as an important and significant role in this novella. The next slide would be theoretical framework. And we can see that feminism is an ideology which believes that women should be allowed the same power and opportunities as men, and they should be treated the same like a can action, and everyone so proud who famous work and giving women. And in the next slide, I will tell about my findings, my research. And the first one is that female characters are described as foolish, incapable, insignificant, while male characters are described as absolute. Second point, female are seen only for reproduction and not for nurturing. Here, the second point suggested that in the novella we can see that the hens, they were producing many eggs, and they didn't have the rights to take care of their own child, because the leader Napoleon, who is the pig, would sell the eggs in his own behalf, and the dogs, mainly the dogs, they were Napoleon used the little pigs, the dogs, as his own guard. And we can see that females have to reproduce, but they are not seen for nurturing purpose. Their child are taken away from them. And in the third point, we can see that while most researchers have done their research on animal farm, on wars, power, characters of the pig, feminism have been overlooked. And in my next slide, I'll be talking about the conclusion. This research on Animal Farm with the theory feminism is still relevant today because women are still struggling and fighting for their rights after so many years. And in the second point, we can see the solution for all this is that women should be made to be who they are and what they are capable of. And option 3 is the survival of the novel would make a change in the farm by rereading and retelling of the Animal Farm. Thank you. That's all for my presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next I call upon Miss Kim Gai Chen. Kim Gai Chen. Miss Kim Gai Chen can present the paper. Can present the paper now.
Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am, you are audible. Go ahead.
Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim Gangte, and I I'm also currently pursuing my BA English in Don Bosco College, Yellowgrey Hills. So today I'll be presenting about the book that I have used in my project, uh, The Old Man and the Sea, written by Ernest Hemingway, and I title as The Search for Meaning, an Existentialist Parallel Between Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea and the Manipur conflict. As I came from Manipur, I want to connect these two stories since I see the struggle between the old man's struggle for his life, his existence, and also the people of Manipur. I hope everyone heard about the conflict that is ongoing in Manipur, why those people here struggling here. So I find it very relevant to it. So I took this too as my uh, project. So moving on here. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't share it. And is it okay? Can I just continue in this way because I can't share it piece by piece? Okay. So, uh, the purpose of why I select this book and the theory existentialism is because um, the Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. When we look at this story, we could see that he is struggling, he is striving for his life so that he could get food, he could get something to live with. And as he was a fisherman, he was uh, in, uh, in the sea for 84 days without any fish in his hand. So he was like considered by the people around him as a salau, which was the worst form of unlucky. They named they named him as a salau. So as he was going out for the 85th days, he was thinking it as the 85th days will be the most lucky day for him since he has been out there for 84 days without nothing in hand, not even a single fish was with him. So he think that the 85th days would give him a bit of luck, and he went out to the stream, the Gulf Stream. So like he was expecting, um, he catch a marlin, 18 feet of marlin, and he was actually fighting with this marlin since the fish was too big and his boat was small. So while he was struggling for it, there was a choice that he can make. Either leave the big fish and uh, go back home because he has been there for 3 days and 3 nights in the sea. So he have the choice to choose that either he should leave the feast without killing it, without taking it home, or going like just leave the feast and go home, or kill the feast and bring home because when if he have the feast and go back home, everybody from the village or from the place would think that he finally regained his dignity and he is no more a Salau. So, as I said, Salau was the worst form of unlucky, which was known by the people around him. So, um, when he was in that situation, he decided to think about his dignity, his identity that was already lost because he had never catch any fish for the 84 days. So he decided to stay back. He decided to kill the fish, and he fought many sharks that is coming to eat the marlin. So while he was fighting, um, he has been, actually, he is more than 80 years old, so he is already very old, and his physical strength is not like us anymore. So he was struggling for it. But then after fighting for, like, after being in a conflict with the fleas for many days, he finally killed it. And even after he killed it, he faced the challenges because the blood of the marlin attracts the shark. So he had to fight the sharks again. So when we see this story, how he is struggling for it, how he wants to regain or take his identity and dignity from the people who think him as a salau, we could see that this struggle is quite similar to the people of Manipur, because these people, they were already been destroyed. Here, I just want to make it clear that we are not trying to get into the controversies between the people of Manipur, the political theories and everything. We're not.
This means deputies visible, sir. Hello, sir. Is my PPT visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, yes, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, sir. The paper title is Beyond the Margins, Caste and Subaltern Identity in Contemporary Kannada Writing, a study of female. Introduction to the author. B. Annamalai, is popularly known as Imayan, is one of the prominent contemporary writers. He is the best known for his novels and short stories in Kannada. His novels and short stories are The Voices of the Voiceless in the Northern Part of Tamil Nadu and The Studies. He has won several prestigious awards, Agni Aksara Award, Tamil Nadu Progressive Award, Association Award, and Amudadigal Award for Literature. And also, he got the Lifetime Achievement Award and the Sahitya Academy Award for 2020 for his novel Tillara. And also, his works are realistic portrayal of people's lives and perspectives. The subaltern identity. Here I'll talk about the theory. The term subaltern was popularized by Anthony Clancy, and this theory refers to groups excluded from dominant power structures, including social, political, and cultural. And other than that, Dalits, and also talk about Dalits and lower caste, women, laborers, and oppressed communities. This theory developed by Ranajit Guha and the Subaltern Studies Collective. And this theory focuses on history from below rather than elite narratives. And this aims to recover the voice and agency of the oppressed. Subalternity and caste in Indian's works. Indian's fiction centers on Dalit communities and caste oppression, and also his narratives reveal how caste operates as a system of exclusion and control. Here, key characters are often denied dignity, agency, and social mobility. Example here, in Poveri Kalvigal, the novel, the lives of oppressed women reflect deep-rooted caste hierarchies and exploration. The gender and subordinity in women's works. In his works, frequently talk about the woman and his works experience double marginalized, called caste and gender. They face violence, economic hardships, and social control.
மேடம் சார்ஜ் ஆகுமா தெரியல. கிருஷ்ண மேடம் சார்ஜ் கேட்டாங்க, சார்ஜ் எனக்கு நான் நம்ம தான் யூஸ் பண்ணுறேன். இருக்கு அவங்களே போட்டு அவங்களே ஓடிடுறாங்க. அதாவது நெட்டு நல்லா இருக்குது, நல்ல விஷயம் தான். நம்ம
Good afternoon, everyone. In this presentation, I'll discuss the theme of power and Presentation, future skills, employability, and leadership in, in the digital age. Presentation based on the research paper, future skills, employability, and leadership. Digital era is transforming employability, future skills, critical thinking, adaptability, digital literacy, emotional intelligence. Introduction. Technology and globalization transform work. Traditional skills are no longer sufficient. Communication, creativity, and problem solving are essential. Communication and collaboration, problem solving and creativity, critical thinking, adaptability to changing environments, digital literacy and technology usage. Role of leadership. Leaders guide teams and organization, encourage innovation and collaboration, support employee development, drive organization success. Importance of soft skills. Emotional intelligence, interpersonal communication, teamwork and collaboration, conflict resolution. Conclusion. Future skills shape employability, leadership supports, invocation and growth. Continuous learning is essential. Ethical practices ensure sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next, I call upon Nathan Tam Kim Ken. Nathan Tam Kim Ken. Nathan Tam Kim Ken can present your paper.
நெட்ஒர்க்கே இல்லை நான் என்ன பண்ணிட்டேன் கனெக்ட் ஆகல நான் இதில் இருக்குது இப்போ அது டிஸ்கனெக்ட் ஆகிடுச்சு நான் என்ன பண்ணுறேன் சரி யூடியூப் இப்போ அவங்களாம் போயின்னு இருக்குது சார் யூடியூப் லைவ் மட்டும் நீங்கள் டச் பண்ணி பார்த்துட்டே இருக்கு சார் ஆமாம் போயின்னு தாம்மா இருக்குது அது போயினே இருக்குது இங்கே தான் கனெக்ஷன் இல்லை என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க இது மட்டும் தான் தெரியாது
Okay, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
இதுதான் படாய் பேசணும் ஆமாம் படாய் அதுதான் நீங்கள் சொல்லுவீங்க நீ அதான் சொல்லுவேன் நீங்கள் தான் அதான் மேம் சொல்லுவீங்க எல்லாம் தெரியும்
So my name is Nathan Thangkitgen and I'm from Don Bosco College, currently in my third year. So today I'd like to present my research book, which is A Train to Pakistan, which is written by Khuswan Singh. And the title of my presentation is A Literary Study of the Partisan and Human Sufferings Through Post-Colonial Lens in Train to Pakistan. And today this presentation will cover the purpose of selecting the book, why I choose this book and this theory, the theoretical framework which I use in my research studies, and the key post-colonial themes and theories, and a brief summary of the novel and key findings. So on to the next. The reason why I chose this book and this particular theory is because I had a great interest in history and politics, and this book is very much related to this field. And also the novel is set during the partition of India in 1947, and that makes it useful for understanding the historical and political events and impacts during this period. And moreover, I also use post-colonialism as the main theme of my research, and in addition, I use other related post-colonial theories such as Orientalism by Edward Said, the concept of the subaltern by Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, and Hybridity by Homi K. Baba, better understand the cultural and social conditions which are shown in the novel. So this research study is based on the post-colonial theory, which is post-colonialism. Uh, According to this post-colonialism, it studies the long-lasting effects and impacts of the cost of the colonial power and legacy and its influence on culture and society of the people. So this is my main theory. And apart from this, the other related theories which I have used in my research studies are Orientalism by Edward Said, where the West often represented the East as inferior and backward, and the subaltern theory by Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak. This theory focuses on the marginalized and voiceless groups, which are also known as the subalterns. And moreover, it also questions whether the oppressed can speak in history and literature. And the third post-colonial theory is hybridity by Homi K. Baba. So hybridity is nothing but it is a mixing of different culture during the colonial period. So these are the key post-colonial theory which I have used. And coming to the brief summary of the novel, the story in the novel is set in a isolated village called Mano Masra, which is located between the border of India and Pakistan. So in this village, there are different peoples, different communities of people living together from different religious backgrounds such as Hindu, Muslims, and the Sikhs. So these are the major religious groups and communities people that are living together in this village. So before the partition in 1947, this village was the people of this village had lived peacefully and coexist peacefully alongside each other. But after the partition of 1947, violence began to spread among the villagers. And moreover, the novel also shows that fear migration, fear migration and the loss of harmony in the novel. So the key findings of my project are Train to Pakistan by Khuswan Singh shows how the partition of India caused violence, fear and displacement among ordinary people. And through the post-colonialism perspective, the story reflects the lasting effects of colonial powers such as the divide and rule policy. And the novel also highlights that in every major or minor conflict, the ordinary people are the most affected and suffer. It also shows that the humanity can still exist even in times of hatred and violence, as seen through the character and actions of Zuka, who is the main character of the novel. And to conclude, Train to Pakistan presents the emotional reality of partition. Post-colonial theory helps us to understand its deep meaning and how the partition affect ordinary people both emotionally, socially, and psychologically. So, okay, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we call upon Lavanya J. Lavanya J.
கேட்டுட்டு இருக்கீங்களா சார்? கரெக்டாக போதுங்களா யூடியூப்பு? நம்ம மேம் தாங்க சார் ஃபஸ்ட்டு முறை பண்ணுறது இது, நம்ம பிரின்சிபல் மேமு. அது டெக்னீஷியன்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் ஒர்க் பண்ணணும் சார். இது ஆக்சுவலாக எப்படின்னா இந்த ஸ்க்ரீனை அதில் போட்டு வர மாதிரி தான் சார் நேற்று வரை செட் பண்ணது. இப்போ நெட்வொர்க் கனெக்ஷன் இல்லை, அதனால் மேம் என்ன சஜஷன் கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா யூடியூப் லிங்க் க்ரியேட் பண்ணிக்கிறோம் நாங்கள், அதை அதில் போட்டுருங்க, இது பாட்டுக்கு இதில் போட்டோம். அதுக்கான செட்டிங்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் லேட் ஆயிடுச்சு. கரெக்டாக லாகின் பண்ணிட்டோம், அவங்க ஸ்பீக்கரோட ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சனோட இது கரெக்டாக இல்லை, அவங்க சைடு கொஞ்சம் கரெக்டாக இல்லை. அதர்வைஸ் ஓரளவுக்கு பரவாயில்ல. இன்னொரு முறை நம்ம பண்ணோம்னா கரெக்டாக பண்ணிடுவோம் சார்.
Next, I request Murgeshwari to present the paper.
Sorry for the
Good afternoon,
interruption.
everyone.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Yes. Burgeshwari,
Good
ma'am,
afternoon,
please
everyone.
continue.
Today, I am going to present my paper titled "Silenced Voices and a Subaltern Resistance: Reclaiming Female Identity in the Novels of Anuradha Rai." So, post-colonial literature plays an important role in bringing forward the voices of marginalized communities. Among these, women often experience a double marginalization, both as members of oppressed social groups and as subjects within patriarchal structures. In this context, my paper focuses on how marginalized women reclaim their identity and assert resistance in the fiction of Anuradha Rai. The term subaltern was introduced by Antonio Gramsci and later developed by Ranajit Guha and the Subaltern Studies Group. It refers to those who are socially, politically, and culturally excluded from dominant power structures. Gayatri Spivak, in her famous essay, Can the Subaltern Speak?, argues the subaltern, especially women, are often denied a voice in dominant discourse. This study is based on subaltern studies and post-colonial feminism. These frameworks help us understand how women's identities are shaped, suppressed, and later reconstructed within patriarchal systems. Anuradha Rai is a significant contemporary Indian English novelist whose works focus on marginalized lives, gender inequality, emotional and social struggles. So I have selected two novels of Anuradha Rai for this study, The Folded Earth and An Atlas of Impossible Longing. So representation of silenced women in Roy's fiction. So in her novels, women are often emotionally isolated, socially restricted, silenced by cultural norms. These characters reflect how patriarchal structures control female identity and limit their agency. So in The Folded Earth, the protagonist Maya represents a woman struggling to rebuild her life after personal loss. Initially, she is confined by social expectations, but gradually she develops independence. She redefines her identity. Her journey reflects a movement from silence to self-realization. So, An Atlas of Impossible Longing, one of the novels of Anuradha Rai. So this novel explores displacement, class hierarchy, and gender oppression. So female characters in her novel face rigid societal norms, but they are also show resilience in negotiating their identities within these constraints. An important argument in this paper is that resistance in Roy's fiction is subtle rather than aggressive. It appears in forms such as personal choices, emotional strength, quiet defiance of social norms. These small acts become powerful expressions of resistance. So, reclaiming female identity in Roy's female characters gradually move from silence to awareness, awareness to agency. So, through this transformation, they reclaim their identity. They challenge patriarchal control. Thus, literature becomes a space for empowerment and self expression. To conclude, the fiction of Anuradha Rai gives voice to marginalized women and highlights their struggles and resilience. Her works demonstrate that subaltern women are not passive victims. They actively resist oppression. They reconstruct their identity. Therefore, Roy's novels make a significant contribution to subaltern studies and feminist discourse. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next,
Thank you.
next, Lakshmi Priya. Miss Lakshmi Priya.
டாக்டரேட்டா சரி பண்ணு.
Lakshmi Priya can present your paper.
பாவம் சாருக்கு ஒரு டாஸ்க் வர கொடுத்துருக்கீங்க. அவர் சொல்லிடுறாரு அவங்க சொல்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி.
அதெல்லாம் சாருக்கு பழக்கம்ல கரெக்டாக பண்ணுவார்.
Ansi Liana Anthony. Ansi Liana Anthony.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Go.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Ansi, Assistant Professor from CMI University. Today, I'm just going to present my paper titled Sexual Violence and Female Resistance in Mahashweta Devi's Draupadi, a Radical Feminist Perspective. So just to give a quick background, Mahashweta Devi's Draupadi, it's about a tribal woman named Draupadi Majan, who's also involved in political resistance. And she is captured by state authorities, and what follows is extreme violence. But I don't see the story as just one woman's sufferings, but it's much more than that. It is really about how systems like state, the military, and even society use power, and how that power is often exercised through women's bodies. And that's where the story becomes very important from feminist analysis as well as subaltern perspective too. So to understand this better, in this paper, I have used radical feminism as my theoretical framework. To put it simply, radical feminism says that patriarchy is the root cause of women's oppression. And it also argues that men's control over women is not just social, it is very deeply connected to control over women's bodies. And thinkers like Kate Millett and then Firestone, they actually say that violence is not accidental. It is structured to maintain one's power. So that is what the idea that is hidden in Draupadi, where we can start to see what happens to Dopti, the major protagonist, is not just violence, it is a strategy of control. And that is also the major purpose of the theory that I have applied, that is radical feminism. So in this paper, I have focused on three main things, that is how sexual violence is used as a tool of power, and how the female body becomes a site where this power is exercised. And the third, mostly important part is how Dopti resists all of this, especially in the final scene, by showing her resistance, opposing all those parts. So in the story, the violence that Dopti experiences is not random. It is just about punishing her. It is actually about sending a message about breaking resistance and showing authority. Coming back to the paper, it is from a radical feminist point of view, from the theoretical point of view, this becomes very important because it shows that women's bodies are used as a way to control not just individuals but entire communities. So Dopti's body becomes in a way a site where power is being imposed. And Dopti that does not remain just a victim. Instead, something changes in the way she responds, where the story becomes deeply connected and powerful because she refuses to accept the shame that she belongs to a female community or expected of her. Also, in our society, a woman's dignity is often linked to modesty, like how she dresses, how she carries herself, a woman carries herself. But Dopti completely rejects this idea. From feminist perspective, radical feminist perspective, she does not try to hide her body, she does not show shame. Instead, she forces the officer to look at what has been done to her, and through this, she is actually shifting the power. And the power reversal is very important to be analyzed in the story, where the officer who had all the power before now becomes uncomfortable looking at her body because he cannot control the situation anymore. In this way, he becomes powerless and Dopti becomes powerful here. So the victim here, Dopti, becomes strong, and the oneness power becomes disturbed here. So to conclude this, what I try to do in this paper is to move beyond just talking about suffering. It is many readings have focused on oppression, but what I have focused here is the resistance part, like how she has used her body as a resistant using radical feminist theory, like how her power can be challenged. And radical feminism helps to show how the body itself can become a space of resistance. So, with this, I conclude that Dopti is not just a story about violence, it is a story about power and, more importantly, about resistance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next, I call upon Miss Aparna.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Sir, I would like to present my paper without the help of a PPT.
Yeah, yeah. You go ahead.
My title is Earthing the Silenced Exploration of Marginalized Identities in Kate Granville's Trilogy. So, Kate Granville is an Australian writer, and I've chosen her colonial trilogy, as in The Secret River, The Lieutenant, and Sarah Thornhill. So, the article examines Kate Granville's trilogy as an exploration of marginalized narratives. So the marginalized people in the Australia does not just stick to the indigenous people, but the convicts who were transported to the Australia and the women who were transported to Australia, and ultimately the indigenous people as well. So the indigenous people were marginalized because of the European colonization, and the convicts were marginalized by their own British system. And the women over here can be seen um are double marginalized, as they are marginalized by the British system because of the class difference, and when they move to the new land, they are marginalized by their own people in the new land. So this paper deals with the psychological impact of displacement of the colonial project. So the first text of the trilogy is The Secret River. So wherein the protagonist William Thornhill is transported to Australia as he has committed a crime back there in London. So because of the oppression of the class system, he's been deported and transported to Australia. And the next text, the lieutenant, the protagonist is Daniel Rook. So he is marginalized by the intellectual and moral isolation of his own people. And ultimately, the third text, Sarah Thornhill is the first generation of white settler who was born in the Australian land. So over here, Sarah Thornhill becomes an implicated subject, as in, though she has not directly committed any crimes against the indigenous people, she becomes a source, or let's say she has been enjoying all the wealth that their parents have given it to her by the process of colonization. So and then at last the indigenous people are colonized, I would rather say marginalized by the white settlers or the convicts, because their land was taken away. The indigenous people were pushed into the bushes, which wasn't an ideal place for the humans to sustain, but they had to let go of the resources, as in since Australia is an island, it is covered by water, so indigenous people dependent on the water resources. So yes, sir. So the paper argues that Grenville's trilogy does not merely recount the past, but seeks to dismantle the great. Yes, ma'am. Dismantle the great Australian silence by centering the vulnerabilities, complicities, and resistance of the silence. That's all, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Next, Prashant Kumar can present your paper.
Okay, so a very good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm here to present my paper, Hunger and History, the Socio-Economic Subaltern in Benocre's Vision in Nigeria. The post-colonial Nigeria often acts as a place for reclaiming history. In Nigeria, Okri stands out as a voice that links the struggle of the poor with deeper meanings of the African worldview. According to his vision, Nigeria is shaped by a deep hunger, includes both physical starvation and historical yearning for a stable national identity. In famished road, the setting is a dusty ghetto. The ghetto is the area is the home to those on the social margins, that is laborers, small traders, and the jobless. The character Azaro's father represents the physical struggle of the marginalized. His venture into boxing symbolizes the battle against the poverty. One of the Aubrey's main contribution to post-colonial literature is Abiku myth. Azaro, the storyteller, exists between the living and the spiritual realm. According to Ockley, Nigeria's history is not linear but cyclic, where the Abiku nation goes through cycle of birth, death, rebirth, and re-entering poverty and hope again. This vision is not entirely hopeless. I conclude with these points. Ockley's Nigeria is a complex where social and economic realities blends with spiritual and historical awareness. By focusing on hunger, he criticizes the post-colonial state, which also celebrates human resilience. The marginalized are not just victims of history; they represent the very spirit of nation, hoping for the road to be nourished so the new, fairer history can begin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prashant Kumar. Next, I call Mrs. Uma Mageshwari. Mrs. Uma Mageshwari.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Uma Maheshwari. In this presentation, I will discuss in theme of power and gender in the power of Naomi Alderman. Naomi Alderman is a British author known for writing novels, especially science fiction and feminist literature. And then her novel The Power won the Bailey's Women Prize for Fiction in 2017. Her work often explored gender, society, and the idea of power in human life. The gender inequality. In many societies, men usually have more power and authority when are often treated as weaker and unexpected to depend on men. And patriarchal system control many parts of women's lives, like their roles and choices. Many literary works also shows this gender indifferences and the power imbalance between men and women. The novel depicted that the power is a speculative fiction novel written by Naomi Alderman. In the story, girls suddenly develop a biological power called skin, which allows them to produce electric shockers of the weak ability. Women become physically stronger and more powerful than men. And then the novel shows how society begins to change when this shift in the power happens. Political power. A woman begins to use this new physical power to protect themselves from violence and oppression. As a woman becomes stronger, the female body starts to represent authority, strength, and control. As a woman gradually gain important positions in political, religion, and social power, it's also society changes when power moves from men to women. Concluded of the power, traditional patriarchal beliefs are questioned and challenged. The novel shows that the female body can become a source of political authority and strength. It struggles that gender not naturally but socially created by society. When power shifts from men to women, the social structure and relationship in society also begin to change. And also power can change people and society. It can lead to inequality and domination. True equality can happen only when power is shared fairly between men and women. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, Dharani. Miss Dharani. Miss Dharani can take over the session. Dharani.
Okay, thank you, sir. This paper explores how food serves as a symbol of humiliation and resistance in youth, chosen by
The term Jutan, meaning leftover food, becomes a potent symbol of caste-based exclusion. Introduction. Caste in India shapes every lived experience, access to resources, space, and even food. Jyotan by Om, Om Prakash Valmiki narrates how caste operates down to daily survival. Food as humiliation. Premeditated degradation. Physiological violence. The body and consumption. Bodily exclusion. Body as habitus. Eating as social rule. Memory as resistance. Memory in Jyotan is not passive. It is active, painful, and political. By narrating his story, Valmiki confronts the silence surrounding caste persecution. Conclusion. Juthan reveals how food is the central factor in the politics of caste oppression, closely tied to authority, rank, and human dignity. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I call Mr. Guru. Mr. Guru, is Guru there? Neelavati, Neelavati, is Rahul ready to present? Is Mr. R. Rahul ready to present?
Sir, I'm ready to present.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay, sir. Can you hear my voice, sir?
Yes, sir, we can hear your voice. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Okay. This is Rahul from Don Bosco College, Department of English. My topic is about examining the portrayal of marginalized identities in literature. For the abstract, literature has always played a spiritual role in representing the voices of marginalized communities who are often excluded from the dominant social, culture, and political narratives. Identity may include people who are absorbed based on caste, race, gender, class, ethics of sexuality. This paper examines how literature portrays these identities and challenges systems for equality. The main keywords: marginalizations, identity, power, representation, and literature. About the introduction, marginalization identity refer to individual or group who are pushed to the edge of society due to social, political, or economic inequalities. Literature become any important space where such a suspect voice or express framework. Ethical frameworks may be power and organizations. Representations of marginalization identity in literature. Literature highlights struggles, restrictions, and identity of marginalization groups. It changes stereotypes and gives voice to the obsessive. Voice residency and identity. Writing become a form of resistance. Marginalized writers recounts identity and challenges demands narratives. Impact of literature and social changes. Literature creates awareness, empathy, and promotes equality. It helps reshape sociality attitudes. Aloft, the conclusions may be contained. Literature gives voice to the voiceless and challenges power structures. It is a tool for representation, restrictions, and social changes. May of the this paper presenting about the examining the portrait of marginalized identity in literature. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Rahul. Next, I call Guru. Guru, are you ready?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, please go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to present my topic title Oral and Silence in Joseph Conrad's Out of Darkness, a modernist and post-colonial analysis. I'm Guru from 3rd BA English, Don Bosco College, Yellow Hills. Moving on to the next slide. And my main objectives are to analyze the theme of order, to understand the role of silence, to study human psychology in the novel, to examine the impact of colonialism. Moving on to the next slide. Theoretical framework. Study is based on the three theories: post-colonial theory, which studies the impact of colonialism; psychoanalytic theory, which explores the human mind and behavior; modernist approach, which focuses on inner thoughts and fragmented reality. Moving on to the next slide. The short summary of the novel. The novel follows Marlowe, a sailor who travels into the Congo, is sent to find Kurtz, an ivory trader. As he goes deeper, he sees the cruelty of colonialism. Kurtz, who was once idealistic, becomes corrupted by power. This story shows the darkness inside human nature and questions the idea of civilization. And moving on to the findings, the dark side of human nature and imperialism leads to moral corruption. Kurtz represents the danger of absolute power. Civilization is not strong, it is fragile. Next finding. um, Also, silence represents hidden truth. The voices of colonized people are suppressed. The journey reflects inner psychological conflict. The novel questions civilization versus savagery. And to conclude, Out of Darkness shows the true order lies within humans, not outside. It also shows how colonialism destroys both the colonized and the colonizer. Thank you.
Thank you. So most of the paper presenters have completed presentation, and now it's time for the announcement of the best paper presenter, and the best paper presenter is Miss Kim Gaitam of Tambasco College, Yelgiri. We really appreciate her approach on connecting the old man and sea with the real-time existential problems of Manipur people. So I request the organizers to give a certificate of appreciation to the presenter. So it's a time for appreciation. Uh, it gives me an immense pleasure to be a part of this international seminar, which has been brought to you by Sree Abiraami College of Arts and Science for Women. At this outset, I would like to thank the management and the principal, Madam Dr. M.C. Subhashini, for giving me the opportunity for moderating the paper presentation session at this conference. I also thank the other faculty members of the department for designating their skills meritoriously. Once again, and thank you all. Thank you. Paper presenters can leave the room now. And you are all asked to join after lunch. Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable contribution, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Presenters.
We have lost two more extra presenters. Neelavati S. and Uma Maheshwari B.
Feminist theory and social criticism. Feminist theory helps us to understand women's struggles in society. The novel
Highlights issues like gender inequality, racism, and oppressions. It also shows how women overcome discrimination and become independent. Short summary. The novel tells the story of Sally, an African American woman in early 90s. She faces abuse and discrimination in her life. She expresses her feelings through letters with the support of women like Shree Avery and Sophia. She slowly gains confidence and independence. My findings from my study, I found that the novel shows the strength and resilience of women. Women support each other during difficult times. It highlights serious issues like racism and sexism. Sally's journey teaches self-confidence and courage. Findings part 2.
As Albert Einstein once said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity is
Reason for
the true reason
existing.
for existing.
Keeping the spirit of curiosity and learning alive, we now begin the afternoon session with the welcome address. It is my honor to invite Ms. J. Yasmin from First Year English to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, everyone. There is no great pain than hearing an untold story insights by Maya. I warmly welcome you all to the technical session 2 of this one-day international webinar on
Subaltern Narrative Exploring Marginalized Identity. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants and presenters. I also welcome resource person Dr. Fahim Khorasan Khandi sir, who have joined us for this session. Your presence and active participation make this webinar more meaningful. We welcome you, sir. This session will continue our discussion on the important themes of subaltern narratives and marginalized identity, helping us to understand the voices, experience, and perspectives of communities that have often remained unheard in mainstream discourse. I am sure that today's presentation and discussion will provide valuable insight, enrich our knowledge on this important subject. Once again, I extend my warm welcome to our respected speaker and all participants for technical session 2. I wish this session very informative and thank you. Thank you for those inspiring words and for setting a positive tone for the session. Every great speaker deserves a graceful introduction. To introduce our distinguished guest, I invite Ms. M. Reshma, Assistant Professor of English, to deliver the introduction of the chief guest.
A very warm good afternoon to all the dignitaries, participants, and the presenters. It is my privilege to give the welcome address to our most distinguished chief guest, Dr. Fahim Khorasan Kandi, who has meticulously superheaded his wisdom and insight with us thoroughly. He endured to enhance the knowledge of himself and transmit it to all the young minds. He is one of a kind professor who actively upgraded himself in the most complex world. Currently, he has been working as an assistant professor in Chakra University since 2019. He also dispensed his knowledge by working as an assistant professor in various institutions like WMO Arts and Science College, Rosatul Ulam Arabic College, and Anwarulam Islam Women Arabic College, Jamia Salafiwa Arabic College. He was associated with a project on classification and estimation of speech defects using speech models. He also contributed numerously on international and national research papers and projects. Followingly, he chaired session on one-day national seminar on cultural studies organized by Malankara Catholic College. He also stayed as a resource person in international webinar conducted by KMG College of Arts and Science. He continued on participating in one-day national workshop on style manuals in research by Annamalai University and volunteered himself in two-day national seminar on redefining gender and environmental ethics and much more. It's an honor to welcome you today, sir. We are highly eager to learn so much from you in this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Can I start the session?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me this webinar and giving me a topic that is most relevant in this contemporary literature, examining the portrayal of marginalized identities in literature. So you know that since I left, since I joined here in Saudi Arabia, I did not deal this topic, but it is quite interesting when I ponder, when I ruminated over this topic to prepare for this webinar. It's quite interesting topic. You know, since I left India, I was pondering over some other topic which is useful in this scenario. Anyway, it's quite interesting topic, examining the portrayal of marginalized identity in literature. Literature has always been a mirror of the society that produces it, reflecting their values, anxieties, and hierarchies. One of the most revealing aspects of the reflection is how marginalized identities are portrayed. Those portrayals, whether stereotypical, sympathetic, or dreadfully transformative, shape how readers understand groups that have historically been excluded from cultural patriarchal or economic power. Examining these representation is therefore not only a literary exercise, but also a way of understanding how narratives reinforce or challenge system of inequality. So, as you all know that literature is a mirror of the society. And through that mirror, we can bring into limelight the pain, the suffering, the struggle endured by marginalized groups or marginalized sectors. One who examines these in literature, we can see that a vivid portrayal of different marginalized sectors in literature. So, before we examine the present scenario, the current scenario of marginalized identity, portrayal of marginalized identity in literature, let us just brief how marginalized society evolves through years in the past. Defining marginalization in literary context. Marginalized identity include groups whose voice has been suppressed or distorted within the document cultural narratives. This identifies often related to race and ethnicity, gender and sexuality, class and economic status, disability, religion and cultural background, colonial or post-colonial status. In literature, marginalization can appear through absence, misrepresentation, or limited narrative agency. So, when one examines the portrayal of marginalized identity in English literature, you can see that marginalization can appear through absence, the absence of marginalized, the writers are not willing to bring into limelight exactly what is happening to the marginalized society. Misrepresentation. Sometimes they are representing in a comic way, or like a jovial or funny way that never gonna get the impact of or progress for the marginalized society, or limited narrative agency. Conversely, it can also appear through resistance and the creation of new narrative forms. So let us see how history deals the marginalized groups. How, in a historical context, how the marginalized identities got space in, uh, literature, how it evolves. And after that, let's come to the current scenario, what is happening in India and across the globe. English literature engages with marginalized identities through multiple lenses: race, gender, class, colonial history, disability. Historical context. The portrayal of marginalized identities in literature has shifted dramatically across historical periods. So, since the beginning of literature, since the time immemorial, there was no space for marginalized identities. Slowly, it evolved through years. So, there are many periods are there in literature. So, let us examine how these periods, different era, handled the marginalized the groups or society. So, shifted dramatically across historical periods, moving from silence, stereotype toward agency, complexity, and self representation. The evolution of reflects broader social, political, and cultural transformations. And scholars consistently emphasize that representation is shaped by who is writing, why, and for whom. So, in the beginning, that one who examined in the beginning of literature, one can see that there was no unique writers from marginalized groups. The writers who belongs to the elite society, they just speak for, they represented, they just speak for the marginalized society. So it dealt in different ways in different era, on different period in literature. Sometimes it was women, religious minorities, and colonized people rarely spoke for themselves. Their presence was often symbolic rather than humanized. So at present, we go through the literature, especially in the literature, we can see that many of the writers are voicing for marginalized or suppressed groups. But earlier, there was no that space for marginalized identities. Colonized people rarely spoke for themselves. Their presence was often symbolic rather than humanized. Women appeared as a moral allegories or temptresses rather than individual with interiority. So nowadays we can see that many women writers are coming out with gumption to represent their problems, by themselves. But earlier, women are appeared or portrayed as moral allegories, just mocking characters, just making they were portrayed as funny characters, something like that. Lower caste characters. You know that if you examine the works of Shakespeare, you can see that most lower section of the societies are portrayed as jokers, comic characters. They are the people who always have a figure of kind of comic figure. So lower class characters were comic relief or background figures reflecting rigid social hierarchies. You can see that discrimination in their conversations, in their dialogues, in their role led by different genres, drama, poems, or novel, which was produced during in medieval time. Ethnic and religious minorities were portrayed through stereotypes shaped by fear and distance. You can see that, they are confined within in that rule. I mean that marginalized or people who belong to most lower section of the society, not allowed to break the barrier or stereotype to come out the mainstream actors. They are confined within the society. They're confined within the role that was assigned by some elite writers. So these portrayal reinforced existing power structures rather than challenging them. So these type of portrayal of the characters, reinforced existing power structures rather than challenging them. So it was the scenario in medieval time. Enlightenment and 18th century. When we examine the Enlightenment and 18th century, the idea of human rights and individualism spreads. Literature began to question inequality through often from perspective of privileged others. See, literature one can reflect in a real way when you experiences it, isn't it? So when you write something which is something that the author who is not experienced it, you cannot portray this as intensely as the author experienced it. So inequality was questioned by from the perspective of privileged authors in Enlightenment 18th century. Women writers like Afra Behan and later Mary began questioning female intellectual agency. Marginalized identities gained visibility, but representation remained filtered through dominant voices. So the representation, even though they are portrayed, the representation remained filtered through dominant voices. So what happened in 19th century? Realist and Victorian writers expanded the literary spotlight to include working classes, women, and the socially excluded. Working class struggles appeared in Dickinson's and Kaskin, highlighting poverty and exploitation. Women's interior life became central in writers like the Bronnets and George Eliot. Colonial subjects were still exercised, but cracks in imperial ideology began to show. The period marks the beginning of literature as a tool for social critique. So 19th century, some writers took it seriously. They took the social issues, as a tool to write their subject matter. So the period marks the beginning of, in 19th period marks the beginning of literature as a tool to social critique, early to mid 20th century. Modernism writers explored alienation, fragmentation, and psychological depth. Experiences that resonated with marginalized groups, anti-colonial and minority literature emerged for the first time. Colonialized and racialized writers began telling their own stories. This era marks the rise of self-representation rather than representation by others. Till 19th century, we can see that the marginalized groups' identities portrayed by some privileged authors. But when it came 20th century, this era marks the rise of self-representation rather than representation by others. The marginalized, the writers emerged from the marginalized community, itself. So there it marks the change or, beginning of new dawn for the marginalized identities. Late 20th century, writers explored cultural displacement, identity, struggles, and the psychological impact of colonialism. Feminist intersectional writers highlighted how gender, race, class, and nationality intersect to shape marginalization. In 21st century, hybridity, agency, and reclaiming the narrative. Contemporary literature foregrounds complexity, hybridity, and empowerment. Marginalized characters are no longer symbolic, they are narrators, protagonists, and creators. Before 21st century, we can see that they are just symbolic characters. And their characters are portrayed by some elite writers, some privileged writers. The writers have got some special privilege in the society. When we examine through years what happened, slowly marginalized writers began to establish their space in literature. So when we examine 21st century, we can see that contemporary literature foregrounds complexity, hybridity, and empowerment. Marginalized characters are no longer symbolic, they are narrators, protagonists, and creators. So in 21st century, they were no longer symbolic, they are narrators. They started to write, reveal, establish, portrayed their own stories in English literature. They became narrators, to narrate their suffering, struggle, different marginalized people experienced in their life. So they became protagonists and creators. Earlier, their spaces are limited, confined. The spaces are decided by the privileged writers. But in 21st century, the scenario head over heels changed. The marginalized people became narrators, protagonists, and creators. Ethnic and diasporic writers explore hybrid identities and migration, cultural negotiation. Scholars highlight how narrative voice itself become a right of resistance, shaping how readers understand identity and power. Across history, marginalized identities move through three broad phrases. So when we examine, we can see that marginalized identities move through three broad phases: silence or stereotype, spoken for not speaking, spoken for not speaking, visibility and critique, represented with symbolic but still from outside. In the beginning, you can see that silence, and the beginning, one who examines the portrayal of marginalized identities in literature, especially in history, we can see that in the beginning, silence or stereotype, spoken for, not speaking, visibility and critique, represented with symbolic but still from outside, not from the marginalized group. Self-representation. There we can see a revolution, a drastic change in the portrayal of marginalized society, marginalized groups, marginalized sectors in literature. Self-representation. I think when it comes 21st century, we can see that a drastic change in the portrayal, because they became narrators, they became protagonists, and they became creators. So self-representation and resistance, marginalized voices reclaim narrative authority. So they reclaim. So when we examine the history, we can see representation of or establishment of themselves in 21st century only. So this is what history talks about, the marginalized portrayal, the identity of marginalized portrayal in English literature. So in the beginning, you know that there was no space for marginalized people in literature. One who reads, the different journals which was produced during that time, we could not find that much space given to marginalized people. So that was that history, talk about. Now let's come to the Indian scenario, the contemporary world, That is going to help you in future. Of course, you know that. In Indian scenario, examining marginalized identities in Indian literature reveals with rich narratives that explores issues of caste, gender, and regionalism. These narratives often challenge dominant cultural norms and provide a voice to those who have been historically sidelined. Historically sidelined. So when we examine the Indian scenario, we can see that there marginalized people got more voice, more space, more chances to portray their their problems in the society. As we all know that literature is a mirror of the society. It is the best tool to reflect the marginalized society. So Indian English literature reveals rich narratives that explore issues of caste, gender, and regionalism. These narratives often challenges dominant cultural norms, preconceived, uh, you know, prejudices, norms, and provide a voice to those who have been historically sidelined. So let us examine some key themes and authors who are there in English literature. The main themes which which has been for discussing in Indian English literature: caste, caste and class. Even if we say that there is no discrimination, there is no prejudice, there is no preconceived notion, you know, there are many issues we are reading from the newspaper. And since we are living in this sophisticated contemporary world, we can easily get an access to these type of issues are still prevails in, in the English literature and in society itself. Caste and class, Dalit literature. Authors like B.R. Ambedkar, Rohit Vermula, and Urmila Pawar to light the struggles of Dalit against the caste system, chronically oppressions, and advocating for social justice. It's a fact. We all know that. It's a bare fact. Everybody knows that. There is a discrimination on the basis of caste and class. And in Indian English literature, many writers like Arundhati Roy, many writers as such, portrayed the discrimination of the caste. It is everywhere. So Dalit literature, you can see that authors like B.R. Ambedkar, Rohit Vermula, and Urmila Pawar brings to light the struggles of Dalit against the caste system, chronicling oppression and advocating for social justice. Reservation and identity, the complexity of social mobility and identity in the context of affirmative action are explored in the works of writers like Sharan Kumar Limbale. You know that the social mobility you cannot find in the most lower section of the society. It is reserved for a particular group of people. Social mobility means to have a progress in a group, especially a marginalized group, move from economic status, education status. So the writer like Sharon Kumar Limbale clearly depicted the problem of these things. Writers like You know that there are millions of theses produced in the works of Mulkraj Anand. Untouchable shows how caste oppressions appears in daily interactions, touch, speech, occupations, and space. You know, those who have studied in that scenario, they can easily understand that literature, portrayed well, especially the writer like Mulkraj Anand, his works Untouchable shows how caste oppressions appears in daily in interactions. The caste oppressions appears in touch, speech, occupations, and space, which was clearly portrayed by the writer like Mulkraj Anand. Characters such as Baka are marginalized through segregate living space, forced occupation, ritual pollution taboos, verbal and physical abuse. So, through his character, Baga, he substantiated his point. He substantiated his point that how caste operations appears in daily interactions, segregated living space, forced occupation. I mean that it prevails in the society that these people are supposed to do these works. They are not eligible, even if they have stuff, even if they have potential and crux and caliber, forced occupations are there. Ritual pollution taboos, verbal and physical abuse, resistance and system of identity. Dalit writers in English literature foreground self-representation such as Bama, Karuga, expose caste violence within Christian institutions. I know that you might have read, you might have studied the works which was written by, Bama, Karuk in Dalit literature. It details the life of an individual, Dalit woman, and in the process reveals the casteism of an Indian village. Karuk is a powerful critique of Indian civil society itself, the education system, the church, and the bureaucracy, and highlight the complexity between class caste violence within Christian institutions. Om Prakash Valmiki, Judan, in translation, narrates humiliation and resistance. Their works shift literature from portraying Dalits to allowing Dalits to speak. So this is what we really want. Instead of portraying Dalit to allowing Dalit to speak. So when we comes to Indian literature, we can understand that, we can decipher that how Indian literature given space to marginalized identity, the portrayal of marginalized identity. Instead of simply depicting them, some writers given the space to speak for themselves. So, writers like Arundhati Roy, you might have read the books which was written, God of Small Things. The God of Small Things show how caste persists beneath modernity and education and political rhetoric. So that's the problem. It's not practicalizing, it is not bringing to the, it is not materializing, just rhetoric. People are speaking for, Dalit minorities, disabled, but when it comes to practicalizing it, there are many obstacles are there. Arundhati Roy, the god of small things, shows how caste persists beneath modernity, education, and political rhetoric. The love laws in the novel reveal how caste controls intimacy, desire, and social mobility. She wrote this story which was running there in Kerala. The love laws in the novel reveals how people control intimacy, desire, and social mobility. Contemporary writers Meena Kandasamy portray caste as a system upheld by patriarchy, state power, economic control, and religion. Her novel, The Gypsy Goddess, shows how caste violence intersects with gender and class. Those who have read her novel, Gypsy Goddess, you can understand that there's a clear evidence that can substantiate our point of view that how caste violence intersects with gender and class. Novel like Anida Desai in Custody or Aravind Adiga's The White Tiger, you might have watched that movie also, The White Tiger, depict servant-master hierarchies. Servant-master hierarchies, we can see that the novel which was written by Aravind Adiga, known as White Tiger, you can see that how the White Tiger depicts servant-master hierarchies. Urban poverty, lack of access to education, exploitations in capitalist systems. Class becomes a barrier to dignity and mobility. Class became a barrier to dignity and mobility. Adiga's Balram Halwai becomes a symbol of how class oppression breeds rebellion. How class oppression breeds rebellion. English itself become a marks of class privilege. That some people have barrier, obstacles in terms of communicating English language because they cannot, they have a deep knowledge in English language, but when it comes in forms of expression or communication, they have their mother tongue influences also. That also, English itself become a marks of class privilege. Characters who lack English fluency face exclusion from jobs, mockery, and limited social mobility. These themes appears works by R.K. Narayanan, Chetan Bhagat, and many contemporary writers. You can see that if you have read the books which was written by Chetan Bhagat or R.K. Narayanan, you can see that English itself become a marks of class privilege. Characters who lack English fluency face exclusion from jobs, mockery, and limited social mobilities. Some words are very difficult to pronounce by some people, and they might have experienced they are belittled by the elite people. So these types of these also one of the obstacles which was faced by marginalized groups, and that also portrayed in some English literature works. You can find it especially in the works of R.K. Narayanan and in the works of Chetan Bhagat also. These portrayals challenge gender, women's experiences female Authors like Kamala Das and Geeta Hariharan highlight issues such as patriarchy, sexual autonomy, depicting their struggles and resilience. You might have read the books which was written by Shashi Deshpande, that long silence. In that long silence, I still remember when I read that books, she says that my likes and dislikes were circumscribed by the likes and dislikes of my husband. So, it is also portrayed the woman, women are suppressed and oppressed in the novels of Sashi Deshpande, and the female authors like Kamala Das and Geeta Hariharan also, also portrayed the women characters in their various works, and highlighting the physical, sexual autonomy and depicting their struggles and resilience. And notable authors and works: R.K. Narayanan explored the life of marginalized communities in a small towns, providing a windows into everyday struggle. So these are the writers who portrayed marginalized identities, from Indian in their context. R.K. Narayanan explores the lives of marginalized communities in small towns, providing a window into everyday struggle. Arundhati Roy, the god of small things, she tackles issues of caste and gender, intertwining personal and political narratives. Arundhati Roy books, God of Small Things. If you have read that, you can easily understand that how caste became a barrier to romance, friendships, and some, barriers to touching, speaking, and on other things also. So, one of the finest examples is that Arundhati Roy, God of Small Things. Jumba Lahiri. Her works often focus on the immigrant experiences, highlighting the complexity of identity in transnational context. Jumba Lahiri is another fine example for portrayal of marginalized identity in English literature. Shashi Deshpande, as I already mentioned, Shashi Deshpande, known for her exploration of women lives within by these writers. So, I think that this is the sufficient example or to establish, to substantiate our point of view, the portrayal of marginal identities in literature. So let's conclude. Literature serves as a vital space for the representation of marginalized identity. So as I earlier mentioned, literature is a mirror of the society. Literature is the best place. Literature is the place where you can substantiate, you can bring into limelight to the problem faced by marginalized society. We examine the historical context, we examine the present scenario, we examine with some writers who have given voices to the voiceless people, marginalized sectors. So literature serves as a vital space for representation of marginalized identities, offering diverse perspectives, fostering empathy. These narratives challenge readers to reflect on social injustice and the complexities of identity in contemporary society. As literature continues to evolve, voices from marginalized groups are increasingly recognized. So, after when we examine the literature in the beginning, we could see that the people did not get that much space to express their grievances, express their struggle which they endured from the society, because they are represented by mere privileged others depicted them. So when it comes to slowly, when it came to 21st century, we could see that literature, we could see the some writers emerged within the marginalized identity itself. That is why they got much space to bring into the limelight of the society, to express the problem which was faced by the marginalized group within the society. So literature continues to evolve. Voices from marginalized groups are increasingly recognized, promoting a more inclusive literary landscape. So this is the present scenario. One can see the portrayal of marginalized identity in English literature. I hope that I could establish, I could substantiate my points of view about marginalized identities in English literature. I think this is the time for the discussion. Within this, I would like to stop my uh, delivery. Now, I think we can have some discussion regarding this topic. Clear? Oh, hello? Is there any questions, or we can have some discussion? Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Yes, Sharmila ma'am.
Participants can ask questions regarding this session.
Sharmila ma'am, your voice is not audible. Make it clear.
It's not audible.
It's not audible.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello. I'm audible, sir.
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, you're
Yes.
audible.
I'm doing my research in Dalit literature, sir, based on
Oh,
caste,
nice.
class, and gender issues. Uh, I chose the writer Imayam, sir.
Yeah.
Imayam writer, Tamil writer, sir. His works translated into English, sir. So, can you please suggest some ideas to improve my thesis work, sir?
Yeah, right. I don't know. What are the themes dealt by that writer? Can you explain? What are the
Yes,
major
sir.
class and gender discrimination?
Yes, sir.
Class
Caste,
discrimination?
class. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. His works
The
based on
idea is that
class, caste, and gender discrimination and disparities and brutal complicities also,
that's
sir.
yeah, of course that you can depict it well. I hope so, because but don't confine within that author. Make it as a primary material, and apart from that, you can move to some other secondary writers also. Don't confine to your areas in that perspective. When you write a thesis, like when you pursue PhD, you need to submit your thesis. So you need to avail a lot of materials to complete your writing the thesis. So better to read the some other writers who have the same themes dealt by your author. And there are many writers. I'm not that much familiar because my after left when I was doing my PhD, I read a lot of works which dealt the topic of marginalized identities. But when I moved to Saudi Arabia, now I'm focusing on some other themes which is useful for me to this scenario. But as I told you that there are many other writers also there to substantiate your point. Don't confine with that particular writer. Read
Okay.
the books which the novel which got the same theme, like your authors. And the problem is that nowadays I'm evaluating many theses from India as a foreign evaluator. What I observed that there is no serious studies conducted on topic. People just want to get some prefix like doctorate, and they just want to submit it. That's it. But what you have to do that in just a beginning. Whatever topic you have taken for your research, it's just a beginning. So it's just a start. You need to keep the ball rolling after that also. So you need to nurture such type of habit to research on it instead of copy pasting something and paraphrasing the ideas. We need to contribute something by ourselves. For that, you need to have a elaborate knowledge about the topic that you have taken, because literature is an ocean. Even if you have taken your topic as marginalized identity or caste class discrimination, you need to have an idea about other topic also. Then it's a research, especially in English literature. So you can go for that. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Participants have any other doubts? With wisdom deep and vision clear, you helped us cast away each fear. Your steady hand and expert mind were the best support that we could find. Thank you, sir, for this enlightenment on provoking words, inspired our minds and touched our hearts.
Thank you so much. If you don't have further,
As
Kanimoi,
we
are you
approach the
asking
end
questions
of
or?
no queries, sir.
Any questions, or can we call it a day? Any questions?
No queries, sir.
Okay, okay. So can I leave, or can we call it a day?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the very best. Thank you.
As we approach the end of this enriching and enlightening session, it is time to express our heartfelt gratitude. Gratitude is the fairest blossom that springs from the soul. To propose the oath of thanks and express our sincere appreciation to everyone who contributed to the success of this webinar, I now invite Ms. P. Sarwat, second BA English, to deliver the oath of thanks.
Good evening, everyone to present here. It's my great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this wonderful webinar. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone who contributed to make this event successful. First of all, I would like to thank our respected speaker, Professor Pantia Gottlieb and Dr. Fahim Karasin Kandi for taking time to share such a valuable knowledge and insight with us. Your thoughts and experience have truly helped us to gain a better understanding of the topic
and we are very grateful for your inspiring session. Next, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our respectable principal ma'am, chairman sir, head of the department, faculty members, and my dear students for planning and arranging this webinar so effectively. Your hard work and dedication made this program possible. A special thanks to our technical team who worked behind the scenes to ensure that everything runs smoothly without any interruption. I would like to thank all the participants who joined this webinar and made the session interactive with their present interest and questions. Your participation added great value to this event. Finally, I would like to thank everyone once again for their time, effort, and support. We hope this webinar was informative and beneficial for all of you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So much for your immense support, sir.